All right, so here's part two on the factors that could be involved in that could influence somebody's interest in the topic of Gynarchy. Fear. You might be worried about your beliefs being challenged. I've sensed hostility, but I think people could be afraid that, hey, they're wrong, and they don't want to be wrong. And so sometimes they lash out, sometimes they dip out of discussions, or they lose interest because they don't want to face the consequences of reevaluating their deeply held beliefs. There could be concerns that others will discover their interest and judge them. In other words, this is part of the whole image issue, and you could actually tie in the other one that people will hurt them if they don't conform. That's more of a safety issue, though, than a conformity issue. I should have probably not used the word conform in the third one, but if you think that somebody in your life is nosy, if people are constantly keeping up on what you're interested in and they're very judgmental, you might have some cause for concern because you don't know what they're going to do with that information. Will they call your employer? Will they spread nasty rumors about you? Will they say things that aren't true? There might be some serious concerns about indulging and engaging in this subject or leaving some kind of online past behind you. What if somebody finds out about that group too and they recognize your writing style? Everybody's got a unique way of communicating and speaking, whether it's by way of word or text or writing or whatever. If somebody recognizes your thought process or the way in which you communicate your ideas, that could cause serious trouble for you if you have a job, if you have certain kinds of people in your life who have been tolerant of you so far, but they're like, right, it's like there's just like one domino that needs to fall for that to change. And obviously there's the fear that people will harm you if you don't conform. What if you refuse to back down and say, no, I think these thoughts and ideas, and I think the topic does have legitimacy in my mind. I do want to discuss it. And what if that is like the trigger that causes a person to dump acid on you or punch you in the face or shoot you or does goodness knows what? Okay. So the next factor could be the topic may not fit the context of someone's life. So in other words, you're unsure how to think of Gynarchy in your personal life. You're not really sure where it fits in or where it might even belong. Does it belong in my relationship? Does it belong in my head? Does it belong in my interactions with strangers or with people online? Where exactly does this fit? And if somebody doesn't really know how it might fit in there, why include it in the first place? Why demonstrate more interest towards it than you already have if you're not sure where you want to place how you want to act based on your interest? It could also just be that they don't feel that they need it in their life. They think, okay, well, I guess it's a cool idea, whatever, but I don't really need it. It doesn't do anything for me as a person. It's not benefiting me as an individual. It's adding nothing to my life. They also might think that it's not necessary to consider deeply. In other words, because they don't see how it fits within their context. Like, well, if I can't think deeply about this, and I'm a deep thinker, or I'm somebody who thinks and reflects a lot on subjects, how is this going to add to my to what I need? Like, what if you're somebody who needs like content to really like chew over in your mind? Because this does happen. People will buy books. They will regularly introduce themselves to new ideas. And if they feel like it's not a deep idea, then the level of interest can just go right out the window. And here's the next one. I think this is the last one. They don't know what to do with the idea. So if you've never seen a Gynarchy before, how would you think about it? Right? And this is where something interesting can go on. Actually, downright fascinating in my opinion. Is Gynarchy may require an individual to imagine what it would look like and how it would operate. because these people likely don't have an education in what matriarchal societies look like. There's no template for them to use to build some kind of picture in their mind of how that society should be. And so what are they going to do? They're going to base their imagination is likely going to be based on what they've already had exposure to, which is their own societies. So they may just, that's why I think reverse patriarchy comes up so often, is there's no template for that for many of them. They don't even know that Masuo and all these other societies is. So what do? They're like, well, how would I think of it? How would I imagine it? And because we live in a society where there's power dynamics, there's people who have more power than others because they make more money. There's people who are more skilled in the use of firearms and weapons. There are people who argue more proficiently than others. And so we do have a separation. Like there are people who are more skilled, more knowledgeable, and therefore they acquire more power, more respect. And because this is the type of system we were born into, many of them may not be interested in putting in the time to actually imagine what it could be like. Because if you have to fill in all these blanks, maybe you don't want to fill in all the blanks yourself. Maybe you don't want to indulge with your imagination because you've got other things to do. If you have never had a template, if you have nothing to base this on, how much time are you going to have to spend filling in all the blanks yourself? And what's going to justify that, as opposed to, you know what, I could be making money right about now. I could be doing a billion other things. Why this? Why fill in the blanks myself? Why even care? And then the next, of course, is who would you discuss the idea with? You would have to do the research to find the correct people. Do you want to put in the research to find those people? Do you want to take more and more time out of your day to discuss it? Some human beings kind of look at that. They look at like, oh, I got to use my imagination. Then I've got to do research to find the people who are actually taking this seriously and not. I mean, it just becomes one thing after another after another. And then, of course, is the interest in the idea. Is it purely academic? Because if you don't know what to do with an idea, well, first, what is your interest in that idea? Is it just academic? Do you just want to see how these people think and operate? What kind of arguments they make? What's their behavior? What are their goals? Are you interested in this from a purely academic standpoint? Or is this rooted in the need for change? Like, do you feel like the existing ideas that are put out to the public, these solutions, is egalitarianism not enough? Is feminism not enough? Is radical feminism not enough? If it's rooted in the need for change, but there's not a whole lot of groups or organizations, then what the hell are you supposed to do with that topic? You don't really know. And that's why we have community. That's why the community is necessary and needed, because no one of us is going to have all the answers to any of these questions. It takes a community in order to explore a concept like Gynarchy. Without community, you would be all on your own with your own imagination, your own thoughts and feelings about it, and you have no way to connect, compare, and contrast those with anybody else. I think that about covers it. Did I miss anything? What factors do you think could influence a person's interest in the topic of Gynarchy? Or rather, what do you think could be the primary factors that would influence their interest? And what, of course, I mean interest is level of interest. Like, is it high level of interest, mid-level of interest, low level, or is it along that spectrum somewhere between those? Thank you for your time. I really appreciate this. I was not planning to do this video, but once the topic entered into my mind somehow, which it happened on the way home while I was walking from somewhere, and then it just clicked. And I thought, okay, might as well, and I started writing it out, and of course it ended up being like a few pages long here. I think it's about 4. I think it was about 4 pages or so. Yeah, so it ended up being 4 pages where I had to flesh it out. Anyways, what do you think about this? Do you believe that understanding the factors could assist in Gynarchists' attempts to gain in attempts to build interest for the topic, and also how do we go about building interest. That could be its own video, and I might do that as everyone. If we know what's influencing people's interest, then how could we change that? Is there any way we can change that? I'll leave I'll leave those questions with you. Thank you for your time once again. I'm sorry for being repetitive. I appreciate you coming in to watch. Please take care, everybody, and have a great day.